And welcome to In the 661, Youth Voices for Kern, where we talk about topics of interest to our community, particularly the youth here in Kern County. Juan Avila and Lazarus Garcia are with Garden Pathways. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for inviting us. We're really happy to be here.
I appreciate it. I want to hear a little bit more about your services. Maybe, Juan, we can start with you and kind of give an overall picture of what Garden Pathways has to offer our community.
So Garden Pathways is a local nonprofit organization here in Bakersfield that was established in 1997, and we mentor youth and adults to lead productive lives. Our mission is to transform lives from the inside out through loving, mentoring relationships, and we strongly believe in the transformational power of positive and meaningful relationships. We work with individuals that are struggling with life challenges, whether it's homelessness, substance abuse, gang impact, gang violence, or former incarceration, and even individuals that just any type of life challenge that needs guidance and encouragement. We work with them, and whether it's a youth at the high school level or an adult. But right now, we're trying to showcase the work that we're doing in the high schools with our youth through our Sons and Brothers initiative and the Sisterhood Rising initiative.
Okay, and Lazarus, are you part of that program?
I am.
So tell me more about it.
Yeah, so we host mentorship on campus, on and off campus. So we meet with students an hour a week. It's a period class, and we kind of just create an environment and an experience for youth to be able to communicate what's on their minds, what are some of the things that they're dealing with, or any stresses or anything they may be carrying over from life, or worries of school. We try to create a safe place for youth to be able to communicate what's on their heart and what's pressing them. Unfortunately, a lot of youth don't get that permission or opportunity to be able to communicate with a loving and supportive adult, unfortunately. And so what we do is we've built trust through time and connection to be able to have these conversations that initiate the healing that Juan is talking about from the inside out.
What are some of the big overarching things that you're hearing from your fellow youth, I guess, from young folks in these groups?
Yeah, well, a big lack is a lack of identity. A lot of these kids don't know, it's identified as at risk, and so they're used to hearing negative titles or being called a certain way. And when we first day when they come in, youth we acknowledge them as leaders and leaders in process, and that they're men, and they're learning how to. We specifically work with the men, and our hope is to instill and to impart identity. To be an effective leader, to be a good student. We flood them with positivity and with love and acknowledgement and non-judgmental experiences in our conversations, which has initiated that impact within.
It sounds like self-esteem almost. I mean, it's almost like it sounds like there's a struggle for self-esteem for some of these folks. And if you don't have your own self-identity, self-esteem, there's not much more you're going to want to reach out and do.
Yeah, exactly.
And I would imagine, that applies as well to some of the other mentoring programs. When you've been homeless, when you've been drug addicted, you kind of lose your self-value and self-worth sometimes.
Absolutely, and from our experience, we've come to realize that the line between perpetrator and victim is very, very thin. A lot of the people that we work with in their early childhood have experienced severe trauma and chronic trauma, and they've never had the opportunity to heal from it. And so it's through mentoring that we help them rediscover the lost knowledge of who they truly are and their purpose here in this world.
So some of these folks may have been victims of child abuse themselves and didn't have the upbringing and the structure that they needed.
Yes.
Tell me more about healing circles. And how does it get incorporated into your mentorship program?
Yeah, so healing circles, in its name, there's no starting point, there's no ending point to a circle, and it symbolizes a process, a journey. And so it complements what we do on campus through the mentoring so perfectly, in that we're inviting students to journey with us, and we also are experiencing healing through sharing our lives with the youth. But this process, this story, this walk together of healing. And so what it looks like just practically, is we gather in circle. So we'll form a circle, and what it does is it helps to acknowledge the presence of each member of the circle, that they have a place around the circle, and that they're important. And if they weren't there, that we would be impacted by it, that their presence is known, it's felt, it's meaningful to the group. And in order for us to successfully move as a group, it requires each individual to be present, to be there. And so Circle is an invitation to be able to invite youth to be able to communicate in a space where they're not judged. It's an inclusive space where they're able to communicate what's on their hearts. Again, the stresses, struggles they may be carrying, to hope to inspire them with hope, or so that they are heard and they're seen and able to be affirmed in those areas that are deeply wounded or hurt.
Tell me about some success stories. What kind of success stories have you guys seen, or successes have you seen as these programs have been launched?
Absolutely. You want to share maybe about Rudy?
Yeah. Well, we worked with a young man, Rudy, and has like such great potential. Like he's just a rock star. But through the journey, going through school, he just lost his way and who he was, and so that whole self-esteem piece that you referred to, and just struggled, and it reflected on his academics, his attendance, and when we started working with Rudy, we initially recognized him as a leader and looked for ways to empower him into that position, and it didn't take long, but was beginning to get acknowledged by his peers as a leader, and he became a voice for us, and I've just seen him kind of thrive, and now he did graduate high school. At the time, he was on a track where he was potentially at risk of not graduating, but turned it around, graduated, now he's on his way to the military. He has a heart to serve our country in that way, and so just empowering him to really discover that and walk with him through that journey has been really cool. That was a really success. I'm really proud of Rudy and the journey that he's walked, and just his willingness to open up and to trust us and to believe that we were genuine in our invitation with him.
Yeah, and our work here has been used as an alternative to being suspended or expelled, with a lot of also some controversy in regards to the disproportional suspensions and expulsions of young men of color. This has become an option instead of being suspended or expelled, and we've already been doing this work for about 5 years. In our first cohort, we experienced 12 individuals graduating from high school last year. We've also experienced a 50% reduction of visits to the dean's office, and we've also experienced a 48% increase in attendance, which is an average of about 8 days in school per student in 1 year.
So you guys are actually taking the metrics. You're actually looking at this closely.
Yes,
it
we
sounds
are.
like. And just very briefly, how do people get involved with your organization? Might they refer somebody to the mentorship program?
So we're always looking for community volunteer mentors, especially for adult population. It's very difficult to find individuals that have an hour a week to just build individuals up, to give them hope and inspire them as they're moving through their journey. For our youth, we're always looking for individuals that can come in and speak to our youth and motivate them as well.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you both for joining us on In the 661.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much for
Thank
your
you very
time.
much. And thank you for watching on In the 661, Youth Voices for Kern.